my spoiler review of The Boys Season 2, which recently finished, and it will be full spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, check out the non-spoiler review in the annotation, link in the description. So just gonna get, like the video, share it, but I'm gonna hop right into these spoilers. And first thing I want to say is I forgot how much this show loves Billy Joel. It's through the character of Huey. Huey loves Billy Joel. I love the explanation behind why he loves Billy Joel. The whole thing about his mom leaving his dad, because unlike Starlight, you would think his mom is dead because he never mentioned her. The dad's all alone. Which thing I was kind of sad we didn't get to see Simon Pegg back as his dad, but he it reminds him of his mom when he was happy. One of the reasons why he likes to hang on to people because things got tough and he was like, I'm not gonna leave like my mom did, stuff like that. So that was good. That was good stuff. But yeah, let's get into some big things. So series starts off. Translucent's funeral. That shit was funny. Translucent's been dead. They talk about, he died on some mission, blah, blah, blah. His body is not in the case. He's invisible. You would think once he dies, his body would look normal, but whatever. That shit was funny. Let's see, what else? Okay, yes. Stillwell's dead. They blame Butcher for it, although I don't know if the company knows that it was Homelander that actually. I think the company might legitimately believe that Butcher killed her. They don't really explain that. I don't remember them necessarily definitively saying that, no, Homelander did it, but we're blaming Butcher. I think they legitimately think Butcher killed her. So Butcher's been on the run. He's gone from the team. The team has been hiding out with some people that Frenchie knows, some Haitians, doing all types of crime, and they're just hanging out in this dirty-ass basement with them. And Huey is just, he's going through it. He does not want to be there. He's struggling because he's not a tough guy. The military guys, the boys, they've been at the bottom. Huey has not been at the bottom like this, so he is struggling, still trying to keep his friendship with Starlight, which the stuff between them was really good. I think it was episode 4 when they go on that road trip and they're kind of getting back into the swing of things and hanging out with each other. Great. Their chemistry is great in the first season, great in this season. Rooting for those guys. And it's interesting how they're going to continue to be with each other at the end of the show. And Huey's like, you know what, this secret agent life is just not for me, and he's trying to get away from that. Of course, he's going to be drawn back into it if you know how it ended, but yeah, Jack Quaid and Aaron Moriarty are just great together. And so I mentioned it in my first 3 episodes of it. The thing with the guy Gecko, when he's this hero that Stormfront knows, not Stormfront, Starlight knows, and he can cut himself, and he pays the guy to cut off his body parts, and he wanted to cut off his dick. That shit was funny. Funny shit like that in this show is amazing. I'm going to talk about some of the other wild shit. Homelander, the blind spot job where he busts his eardrums. That was great, and that was kind of like a slight FU to Daredevil. That shit was funny. Homelander with the breast milk, no, that was gross. Homelander banging, well, not banging, but Homelander getting felt up by Doppelganger as Stitwell. That shit was wild. I was like, is this in his mind? What is happening here? Is it a clone? Like, what's going on? No, it's this Doppelganger. That shit was fucking hilarious. Yeah. The satire in this may trigger some people. I wonder how many people was hurt or knew the twist with Stormfront. Because I knew of it because I've watched numerous videos talking about, who the Stormfront character is when they first casted the character and the whole gender swap thing. Because I've never read the Boys comic. Probably not going to like it because I know the comic is way more darker and not as well structured as the show is. But it's definitely more of a superhero suck type of deal as opposed to this is doing other things. But I wonder how many people were hurt and or surprised by the twist, because it was really good. I like the whole moment when she's tracking down Kamiko's brother. Kamiko's brother was smuggled in, and he's kind of being used as, or they wanted him to be used as a terrorist. He doesn't necessarily care because he's also kind of like fuck America's, but he also wants to get away. It's Kamiko's brother, but he still wants to like fuck up Homelander because Homelander destroyed their village. So understandable. There's a whole moment where they're hiding them out. They get stopped. The Deep comes in on a whale. That shit was funny. The Deep try to regain some cred with the Seven, and that doesn't go well because Butcher just crashes right through the whale and everyone's inside of it. But the moment where he breaks away from Homelander, he brings the street in on him, and then Stormfront comes in and just starts beating the shit out of him, and they throw him into that apartment with all the black people. Some people didn't pick up on this. I know some people I talked to, they didn't pick up on it. It took them a minute, but I knew immediately. As soon as they popped up into that apartment and it was a black family, I'm like, somebody about to die. Because Stormfront is a racist ass bitch. And she just straight up murdered that dad for no reason. And then as they're running through the apartment, she's just blowing up whole floors just for no reason. Just being all extra with it for no reason. Well, besides being a racist. But it's just like, what the fuck? And then she catches the brother, calls him, yellow bastard. I'm like, yo, come on. Come on. Like, this shit is crazy. Kills the brother. And I'm like, yo, some people didn't quite pick up on that. But yeah, it was there. And the thing with Homelander, where she mentioned something about his blue eyes, I'm like, I know where that's going. The stuff where she's talking about the church, the collective, where she was like, oh, I used to be a member of it, but back when it was more pure. Like that tension between her and A-Train, love that stuff. Stormfront, Ed Cash, great character. She had some great lines. I can't remember all of them. I remember there was the line where she was telling Homelander about the social media, because she's got like this special group that like puts out memes and stuff. She's like, oh, she's very anti-SJW and snowflake this. A lot of people on YouTube you might watch who talk like that. Yeah, she did. Yeah, all of that stuff. She's she was like, when you see it on your uncle's Facebook page, that's how you know it's working. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. But the whole stuff where the girls get it done thing, where it's like, oh, we got 3 women on the team, so let's go. Women are the best. Let's overly push the women. And she's like, look, can't men and women just be good at their jobs? Like, does one have to be better than the other? Like, she was speaking some truth, but then she also had the racist shit behind it. And what was the other one where when she was exposed and she was talking to Stormfront? Starlight. This was probably one of my favorites, where she was like, a lot of people like what I have to say. They just don't like the word Nazi. And that's true. Some people actually are cool with Nazism. They just don't want to be called a Nazi. So when she was like upset that they exposed her, it's like, yeah, I'm a racist, but you don't have to put me out there like that. That shit like that. Stuff with Fat Neil, episode 7. Fat Neil was tricked by the media and followed into that bullshit and shot that man in the convenience store. That shit was deep. I was like, damn, what's going on, Fat Neil? You need some D&D, my man. What's going on? That shit was wild. All the other stuff, like the media stuff, like when they had the PSA for the super terrorist attack, and the teacher would have a legal firearm in the classroom. That shit was funny. The stuff with them on set making the in-game sort of movie, that stuff was funny. The hashtag Hero So White thing, because it's like, why is everyone on the team white? Except, I guess they technically have 2 black guys, although one of them you don't know is black. But it was still funny, the hashtag Hero So White thing. And then that leads into the stuff with Queen Maeve, Queen Maeve is the most improved character in this show, in my opinion. Because I hated her season 1. She was just there. She didn't want to do anything. She was, just drinking, talking shit to to Starlight. But she does help Starlight when it matters. She stops Homelander from killing her the first time. And this is the same story about her. She has the ex-girlfriend Elena who comes back into her life, but it's expanded upon more when you find out the reason why she's so numb and why she doesn't want to get connected to people. Because if she even gets kind of close to someone, Homelander, her ex, murders that person. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. She's rift drawing so she doesn't inadvertently get someone hurt. She mentions the story about she was at a movie premiere. She was sitting next to this, I think he was a writer or a director or something. He was making jokes. She laughed at him. And then, the next day, that guy ended up dead in his apartment. And she's like, Homelander killed him because he's so jealous. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. So her eventually trying to use the found footage of them on the plane to use that as a way to deter Homelander to keep him in check. That was a great storyline. And of course, the whole thing when Homelander finds out that she's gay because it was secret, and he's mad. He does not like when people lie to him. He's been lied his whole life, so he hates when anyone lies to him. And he exposes her on the I think it was like some ET type of bullshit or Hollywood Access type of bullshit. And he just like straight up like, oh yeah, Maeve's gay, and it's just like pets her on blast, and then all the media stuff with the Brave Maeve Pride bars, and we're gonna have you at the Pride parade, and we want to change the way your girlfriend dresses to make her look more masculine because the media, the public has. They prefer lesbians when they're still more traditional gender roles as opposed to just two women. That stuff was funny, like all that little satire stuff, hilarious. Another funny ongoing storyline involves the Deep, played by Chase Crawford, and he's at rock bottom, and he runs into his friend former friend Eagle the Archer, who's another superhero who's kind of like a Hawkeye, Green Arrow parody, and he pulls him into the Church of the Collective, which is this cult is a play on Scientology, Mormonism, what's the other one? Sort of Jehovah's Witnessy type of stuff. It's all of that stuff. It's all that weird, religious, cultish type stuff. But they're actually pretty good at what they do, though. Like, they do get the Deep on the right path. They get him a wife. It's not the wife he wants, but they give him because he has to, fix his image because he's, he admitted that he's, sexually assaulted a bunch of different women. So they have to change his image. He's got to do the training. That whole moment where he drinks the tea and has got the hallucinogenics, and he starts talking to his gills because he's self conscious of the way he looks, and it's because of his gills, and he's like that leads to why he embarrasses women and tries to degrade women and all of that type of stuff. The whole time he's singing with the gills, that shit was funny. The whole bit where he's trying to get he gets A-Train involved, and A-Train's kind of like, I know this is some bullshit, but maybe they can help because he's about to get kicked out because they know he's got a bad heart and all that. Yeah, A-Train pops back. You think A-Train's gonna be gone? He pops back up, and he's kind of keeping eyes on Starlight because he knows Starlight is on some bullshit. And when she eventually, when they first exposed that Compound V exists, and it's people don't get their powers from God, it's like you think that's gonna be enough to take down Vought, but then the whole thing with Kamiko's brother kind of makes it like, well, yeah, Compound V exists, but you're gonna need us because look at these terrorists over here with the superpowers. They're gonna destroy us, so you need us to defend you. So it kind of backfires to a degree, and it happens throughout the season where they keep trying to expose Vought, but Vought is always able to turn it. And the other stuff with the Collective, where they then kick Eagle the Archer out because he wouldn't cut himself off from his mom and expose his weird sex kink with he likes his partners dressed up like deers, and he pretends to kill them, and then he mounts. It was weird. That shit was funny though. That shit was funny, and that stuff was really funny when he was like, "Hey, do you remember Eagle the Archer?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, he's a great friend of mine." He's like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to talk to that guy. He's a traitor. He's talked bad about the church. He just no longer exists." It's like they're cold blooded, and yeah, that stuff was great. And I also did like that he didn't get redeemed at the end. He still didn't get back on the team. It was A-Train who got back on the team because he helped expose Stormfront by stealing the information that the church had on her. Because the church is a pretty big power player. Like they have, as he said, the little group, they have a lot of information. And Stormfront used to be a member of the church back when it was more pure, which is the reason if you're hurt by me saying that it's not just Scientology, it's also Mormonism and Jehovah's Witness. If you know anything about Mormonism and apparently also Jehovah's Witnesses, in the earlier days of that religion, it was very, hey, if you're white, you're good. If you have darker skin, i.e. black, you can't be in the church and you're a sin. So that's where I'm coming from with that stuff, which was, once again, great. The whole thing with trying to figure out who Liberty is, because Raynor was investigating it and she ends up with her head exploding. And Huey, Starlight, and MM go down to figure out who the woman was that Raynor was trying to talk to down in North Carolina. And it was, I don't remember that actress's name. It was old girl from A Different World, the one that was with Sinbad in the first season, and she was with the military guy, and the later she's the sister of this man who was killed by Liberty back in the 70s. She accused him of robbing a bank, and she just beats the shit out of him. He was a black man, and Liberty kills him dressed up like a fucking Klan member. Her costume was basically a fucking stylized Klan suit. If you really look at it, it was white with the red. Like, come on, like she had a hood on. Like, come on, that shit was crazy. But she beats the shit out of him, and it's like, I'm accusing him for something he didn't do, and the family was paid off. What was it like? Was it $1,000? It was like $500 or $700. It was some bullshit that they got paid off with, but it was they had to keep it quiet. And she was saying like Liberty is Stormfront, which they don't get into. Which I wish that's something they did explain. How was Vought able to wipe the world of who Liberty was? Because I think Liberty was wearing a mask, but still, it's like if she's been gone from the 70s and then she pops back up as this new hero, what was she doing from the 70s till 2000? I'm guessing 2015, 2016. Like, what was she doing in between that time? How was the company able to keep her hidden? They don't really get into that, but that was a good reveal. The stuff with Butcher. Okay, so the stuff with Butcher, Becca, Ryan, and Homelander. So Homelander comes in. He pops up at the house from time to time to hang out with his son and Becca, and him being there and seeing how she's raising the kid. Homelander doesn't like it. Now she's raising him to be smart. She's keeping him away from media. She's teaching him multiple languages and all this stuff. And Homelander's like, yeah, but you kind of raise him to be kind of a pussy. Like, he doesn't play sports. He doesn't do anything outside of this sort of calm stuff that you do. Like, he doesn't know how to use his abilities. Are we even sure if he has his abilities? Like, the whole thing when he pushes him off the roof. He doesn't fly, but he does survive because he is tough. She's trying to get him to use his heat vision. And Becca's just like, I don't want this asshole here. When Butcher teams back up with Mallory, she helps him find the location, which this is my biggest problem with the series. The base that Becca is hiding out in fucking sucks. Homelander just flies in, which makes sense. It's Homelander. Butcher just sneaks in. He's like, one episode, he's like, I'm going to do my best to get in there. And then the next episode, he's just there. It's like, well, goddamn. Like, is it that easy? I think it was like a wall. It was some big-ass wall. Like, okay. He sneaks in and then sneaks out like it's nothing. Once he tries to sneak out with Becca, and she tells him, I'm not leaving my son. And Butcher, shows his hand. He's like, I don't fucking want that kid there. A, he's a suit. B, he's Homelander's kid. Fuck that. I'm not raising this, Homelander's kid. And Becca's like, that's my son, and I'm not leaving him. So Butcher is hurt. He just sneaks out. Nobody knows he lets them know that he's there by flipping off the camera. And I'm just like, so he's just in and out like that, like no one knew he was there. And then it gets even worse later on when Homelander introduces Stormfront into his son, because Stormfront is old, and the picture of the lady is her daughter, and he's like, hey, meet my son. And then they're conniving. They tell him the truth, which, I get Homelander's whole thing where he's like, look, I was raised isolated around people who didn't love me. Now, granted, you love him, but he's still isolated. He's going to react harshly when he's exposed to the real world. And once you tell him the truth, you've been lying to him. So I get Homelander's thought process, but of course he has his other twists, nefariousness for doing it. And they fly away. And then Becca just breaks out of the facility with a knife. Like, what the fuck? I was just like, is Becca like a military person? Like, I'm pretty sure she was just a fucking talent, a media person. That's why she was hired by Vought. So was she secretly fucking a commando? No, she wasn't. So how the hell did she break out? And I guess you could say, well, maybe they allowed her to escape so she could then get the Butcher to then get Ryan back. I guess, but it wasn't explained. I just thought that was weird. So, but yeah, they take Ryan away. I like the character Ryan. I'm pretty sure it was a different kid that played him at the end of the first season, but Ryan does well. Ryan's gonna have a hard life. He really is. Homelander didn't want him to be raised isolated. He tried and ultimately failed, judging by the end of the season. The Frenchie. The stuff with Frenchie, getting his backstory, really good. You find out what happened with Lamplighter in the season. We meet Lamplighter, who was the guy who killed General Mallory's grandkids. Lamplighter was played by what is his name? Sean Ashmore, who you may recognize as Iceman from the X-Men movies. It's kind of funny, he played Iceman, and in this he's playing a pyrokinetic with firepower in this. And he was the hero that the boys years ago tried to blackmail into being an informant to the Seven. And it didn't work out. He lashed out and tried to kill Mallory, accidentally killed her grandkids. And that kind of caused the team to break up because of that. And everyone was mad, especially Mother's Milk was mad at Frenchie for not stopping him, because Frenchie was supposed to be keeping tabs on him. And we found out the reason Frenchie wasn't keeping tabs on him was because he had his two best friends, which was the girl from the first season, which I didn't realize that they had been close for that long. But it was the girl from the first season and this black guy named Jay. They were a close crew. And the night he was supposed to be watching Lamplighter, he got a call from the girl. Jay was ODing, so he had to make, because Jay is his best friend apparently, so he broke his post to go check on his friend. But then he had to tell him, like, hey, I really need to do my job, because he's got to deal with the government so they can not be arrested. Because it was a whole bank robbery they got caught, and he made a deal with the government, like, if I work for you, they won't get locked up and stuff like that. So once he came back, Lamplighter had killed the kids and was gone, and he felt sorry for that, and that was like he was trying to get redemption through helping Kamiko with her loss of her brother, but him finally exposing it kind of made things a little bit better. They take in Lamplighter. They try to get him to be a witness for this Congress hearing with Senator Noonan. I think it's Senator Noonan. So that was really good. The whole him secretly working at the facility, was it Shady Grove, something or another, and they were like testing on the different people with superpowers, which we see the character Love Sausage, who was this Russian guy in the comics, and this is just a big Russian dude with a big dick that lives. It's like a weird monster thing. I swear to God, it happens. If you haven't watched it, it's fucking crazy. It ends up choking fucking Mother's Milk for a little bit. That shit was wild. And then there's also that bald chick with the telekinetic powers and somehow bulletproof. She's dangerous, but she's a loose cannon. I was thinking she might have been involved, the whole head exploding things, but that kind of is out in the open. So I got to see what's going to happen with that in season 3. But Lamplighter basically realizes he's got a death wish when he sneaks away. Gets talked into Huey to go save Starlight when she gets captured by Black Noir, inadvertently because of her mom. Black Noir just popped up in that fucking cafe and beat the shit out of her, and she gets locked up. Great. And the whole Lamplighter watching the suit porn, that shit was funny. When he said, do you want to watch The Deep Does It in the Blowhole? I was like, wait, what did he say? I had to rewind that. That shit was crazy. And hilarious, all the different other parodies. But Lamplighter, being a fucking deviant, helps them sneak into the base through his little secret way. He used to sneak in the underage college. I guess they were applying for college girls and him just killing himself. He knows he's a dead man. He's like, if I even get close to the bench, I'm fucking dead. So he just sets himself on fire in the middle of the office room, which alerts the alarms, allows Stormfront to escape, and then allows Starlight to escape, and then she gets into this fight with Black Noir, and he's whooping her ass, and I'm like, I could have sworn they said Starlight knew how to fight, like she had been doing martial arts classes since she was a little kid, so she was just getting her ass kicked. There was electricity there, she could have used her powers, whatever. She was about to get choked out by Black Noir, and then Queen Maeve comes in, takes him, gives him an almond joy, which we find out Black Noir has a tree nut allergy, so he's down for the count. They escape, and that was funny, the whole almond joy thing. That was a callback from earlier in the season where Huey and Starlight was talking about their favorite candies, and he was like, almond joy is the grossest candy. That's like Starlight's favorite candy. So her favorite candy ended up saving her from one of the most dangerous guys on the team. Like that. That was handled very well. So yeah, Butcher. We really find out a lot of stuff about Butcher. Carl Urban does a great job with this character. You can tell he's having fun. I like those moments when he gets pissed off and he makes that weird, crazy looks on his face. The way Carl Urban does that is masterful. And I love we meet his aunt, who's a low key, well, not a low key, she's a secret drug dealer, but like she deals like pharmaceuticals and oxycodone and shit like that. And they get trapped in her house by Black Noir, and he's like, hey, if you kill me, I'll release. He had something on Homeland. I can't remember what it was. He was going to release something, so they back off, which was a bit of a bluff. And or maybe he was going to release that it was actually Homelander that killed Stillwell. I can't remember. Anyway, the whole goal now is Stormfront and Homelander become a couple, and he falls deeply in love, and they want Supes to take over. They want more Supes. You know, they want more Supes because it's like all these terrorists, which is secretly she wants a new Aryan race Superman thing going on. But Butcher, he sees the problem, and we find out like I said, he's on edge, and there's a reason why he keeps Huey around, because Huey reminds him of his brother Lenny, who was his canary in the coal mine, as they say. Whenever Butcher gets too deep, Lenny was able to kind of rein him in, and that's what Huey's able to do. So we find out that from the aunt. Then we find out, his mom and dad are still alive. His mom tells him his dad is dead. She was lying so he can go talk to his dad because his dad is dying from cancer. We find out his dad was super abusive to him and the brother, and his dad's a fucking asshole. And that's kind of where Butcher gets it a little from. But he's like, hey, don't get mad at me. I raised you to be tough. I was tough on you. I was tough on Lenny, but Lenny couldn't take it, and that is why he ended up, he couldn't handle it, and he ends up killing himself. But we find out Lenny, killed himself because once Butcher left to go into the military, he didn't want to be around the dad anymore. So shit like that, and it was like that was a great scene where he was like gonna kill his dad, his old dad. He was like gonna fucking probably throw his ass off the roof. That shit was that was really good. And the whole stuff with Becca when he's like depressed and he's like, I just want her. I don't care about the kid. That stuff was really good. So when he makes that deal with Stan at first to be like, hey, if I get Ryan back, you take Ryan and I'm gonna get to keep my wife because I'm gonna tell her the only way he can be safe if you're no longer with him, which that diabolical. And Stan was right about like, oh, you call me diabolical, like, bro, that is some sick shit. And the whole thing where he's calling Stan out, like he's like, hey, why are you working with this Nazi bitch? You do realize he's like, you realize you're black, right? And she's a super Nazi and wants to make more Nazis. Like, what's up with that? And he's like, look, I'm a businessman. I could lash out about it, but like, what the fuck is that gonna do? Like, I don't get that luxury. He's like, that's a white guy's luxury. I don't get to lash out about it, but it doesn't matter because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. And he's like, it's business. And so this is what it is, and I get a certain stock percentage and shit. So I'm like, I'm glad they mentioned that because I was thinking like, what is his like? Is he just doesn't care? Does he acknowledge that this is fucked up? He acknowledges, but he's like, this bank account though, this shit is rising, so I'm just riding with it. So the moment when he goes back to Becca and she's like, okay, when we go see Ryan, because I'm coming with you, you have to promise me on Lenny's soul that you're gonna save Ryan. And I was like, damn, she got it. She fucking got it. He cannot break that promise because not on Lenny, and he can lie to Becca, but he cannot break a promise to Lenny's soul. So I was like, damn, this ain't gonna end too well for you, Butcher. You gonna end up losing somebody. And I was like, I think she's gonna end up dying. So the whole plan to get distract Homelander was good. They run in and get the kid. And when Homelander comes back and he just sees the guards, the Vought guys there, and he heard one of them say Butcher, and he just like splits that guy down the middle. That shit was killer. The fights with Stormfront. That shit was so. Stormfront pops in. She's beating the shit out of Starlight. She beats the shit out of Kamiko too. She actually like snaps Kamiko's neck, and she's about to go and kill Starlight, and then Maeve comes in. Maeve comes in and saves the day and starts whooping her ass. And they all get up, Starlight and Kamiko get up, and they just start beating the shit out of her. That was great. I love that moment. It's a different take on what happened in the comic. In the comic, Stormfront is a man, and he gets stomped out by Butcher, Frenchie, Love Sausage, and Mother's Milk. They all beat the shit out of a Nazi, which the poeticness of it was it's a Nazi getting curb stomped by a British guy, French guy, black guy, and a Russian guy. Which I knew that was not happening. I'm like, they're not going to have the boys beat the shit out of a woman. That's not going to happen. But yeah, a woman beating the shit out of another woman, that's good. And that shit was awesome. They didn't kill her though, but they did whoop that ass. And so she flies away from that ass beating. She tracks down, which I'm not sure how she was able to do it, but she tracks down Butcher and Becca with Ryan as they're running away and takes him out, takes out Butcher and starts choking Becca against the tree because she likes to see the light goes out. And Ryan is there and he's upset because there was this whole thing earlier where they were trying to train Ryan and trying to get him to use his heat vision, and he couldn't quite do it. And they were like, "Well, focus on something you hate." And he was like, "Well, I don't really hate anyone." And Stormfront's like, "Oh, that's adorable, but you know there are people out there who want to kill us just because of what we look like. It's called white genocide." And then like that reaction from Homelander, where he's just like, "The fuck is this bitch talking about?" Like from Homelander, like he knows she's a Nazi when she exposed, like, "Oh, I'm 100 years old. I was the wife of Frederick Vaught. I was besties with the whole Third Reich. Me and Goebbels used to go to the movies together. Me and Bowman used to go hunting together. Me and Hitler, you know." So she said someone used to dance real nice. So Homelander knows this bitch is a Nazi. Doesn't care. He's just like, "I'm getting laid. I can shoot, I can laser her tits," and all this crazy shit. That shit was wild. So, but that moment when she said the white genocide thing, even Homelander was just like, "The fuck is this bitch talking about?" So that shit was funny. So that shit was crazy. So he sees her choking his mom, so he uses his heat vision and blows, like, beam, white, you can't see anything. Butcher wakes up. Fucking Stormfront is down on the ground, roasted. Like, she is done. Like, her arms and shit is gone. She's just burnt the hell, laying there, speaking in German gibberish. And Butcher looks over and sees Becca there. She's not burnt. Now, Becca's not burnt, but her neck has been damaged, and she's bleeding to death. So I think what happened is because I think the force, because, you know, Stormfront was holding her neck, I think the force of her getting blown away caused her to hurt Becca, because she wasn't burnt, because it wasn't like Ryan had burnt her. He was able to just burn Stormfront, but I think the force of her getting blown away fucked up Becca. So Becca's dead. And for that split moment, Butcher was so pissed, he went to pick up that crowbar. He was about to beat the shit out of that boy. He was going to kill Ryan. But Homelander landed in time. He's covered in blood. He lands and he sees Stormfront's dying. He sees Becca's dead. And he's just like, "Okay, you know what, Ryan, just come with me. We're getting the hell out of here." Ryan doesn't go. He stands with Butcher. But Butcher is still holding on to that crowbar. Like, he wants to smack the shit out of this boy, but he's like, "I can't, because Homelander's going to kill me." He's about to kill him. Queen Maeve shows up, and then that's when she tells him, "Hey, I got the footage because the Deep helped her as a way to kind of get back into the team." Well, she was lying, but anyway, he found her a recording of them on the plane, and she's like, "If you harm them, if you harm me and Elena, if you harm Stormfront, I'm releasing this footage, and all the admiration that you get from the people is going to be gone," which you know you love that, because you so desperately want to be loved by, you have to be loved by everyone. So once that's gone, you know you're done. So he relents. Butcher sends Ryan to Mallory with the CIA. They're going to take care, keep him there. Vought wanted him back, so you know Vought is still going to be trying to find him. Starlight rejoins the team. I don't agree with Starlight rejoining the Seven. I thought that was a weird choice for her to stick around, because that whole moment where she was like, "I can't stay in this tower anymore. It feels like every time I'm in there, I'm walking around with a loaded gun in my face." Because that moment when Homelander pulls up on her in the elevator and starts choking the shit out of her. Like, you want to get back to that? Like, really? Maeve stays on the team. I get why Maeve stays on the team, because what else the fuck is she going to do? So I thought it was weird that Starlight went back to the team. A-Train, like I said, gets back on the team because he was able to expose Stormfront, and the team needed, for PR reasons, like, well, we just had a Nazi on the team. We should change this. So let's bring the black guy back. Which doesn't, like I said, doesn't work out for the Deep. And the Deep tells the boss to fuck off. because some weird cult reasons they like Fresca. This was running gag. And Huey leaves, Mother's Milk goes back with this. That was the surprising thing. It was a happy ending for everybody, except for Homelander and Butcher, who are kind of opposites of the same coin. Yeah, Butcher doesn't get his wife back. Homelander doesn't get his son or someone to love. So, but he does get the admiration of the crowd. But he is pissed. He's dead inside. That moment when he's like on top of the building jerking off, saying he's like, "I'm in control. I'm still in control." That shit was funny. Mother Milk gets back with his family. Frenchie and Kamiko are now a couple, like I guess legit, and they're gonna hang out and go dancing. He's starting to learn more of her sign language. And Huey, like I said, leaves, and he ends up joining the campaign trail, working for the campaign of Senator Noonan, who was this character introduced in this season. She's a play on, what's the politician? AOC, Alexandria, whatever the fuck her name is. She's a play on that character. She's this liberal, go-get-em type of woman, but she's also like anti, the soups, anti-vault. They're doing too much with the money. They're trying to take over the government low-key. So she was working with Mallory to try to expose this. And the whole Senate hearing went bad. Heads started blowing up. That shit was great. Heads just started blowing up on C-SPAN, on national TV. Everyone's just like, what the fuck? And who's blowing up heads? I was thinking it was Stan. I was like, maybe Stan has superpowers. Because there was that moment where he was meeting with Homelander. And he was talking real greasy to Homelander. And he did not seem threatened by Homelander. Maybe he's just that cool and confident. I thought maybe he had superpowers. Nope. Some people might have thought, oh, there's chips in people's heads and bots just blowing up heads to kind of cause distractions. Nope. It was Senator Noonan the whole time. This bitch was blowing up heads so she can gain, on her end, so she can gain political power. Because I believe she's running for president. What other end game is there behind it? I don't know. She kills the leader of the church, the Collective. He was on the phone with her trying to get some tax breaks and shit. And she's like, oh yeah, that's great. He's like, all right. As soon as he opens up his can, boom, head explodes. And she's outside of the office looking at him. And that's one of the things, when she blew his head up, her eyes turned white and then they turned normal. But when she was in the room during the Senate thing, her eyes didn't do that. And she was there like acting all shocked. So I don't know, visual cue, is it something to worry about? I don't know. But did not see that twist coming. I thought that was really good. So her doing her thing, the government is like, the boys is now like an official part of the government, but Mallory's like, I need a new team, but we don't know if the other guy's gonna join it. New enemies, you still got that bald girl still out there, doing whatever. She might be cool, or she might come back to help him, or she might become trouble in the future. Who knows? What's going to happen with the other facilities? What's going to happen with Starlight? Homelander's got something cooking because he's just super pissed. I don't know. Another thing I forgot to mention. When Homelander and Stormfront stopped that bank robber and Homelander squashed his head, and then they started making out and banging in the alley, and blood was on his face, it was on her face. Goddamn, they are so fucking weird. When they were fucking in the office, flying around, throwing themselves, beating the shit out of each other. That's a weird couple. And that whole bit where he was upset with the flowers, when she was lying to him, that shit was funny. Really good series. Check it out. I loved it. What were some of your favorite moments? Let me know in the comments. I've been rambling, but I really enjoyed this. This shit was great. I need a season 3 like tomorrow. I needed it by like yesterday. I finished it Thursday night. I needed it Friday morning. 3rd season. Where is it? It's gonna be a while, COVID and all that bullshit. But looking forward to it. Love this series. Definitely my top show at this moment. Top show of the year. That's all I have to say about The Boys season 2. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Once again, don't forget to like this video, share it, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.